Hey everybody, Billy Lombardo here. I gotta keep my my phone out because I might get a text from my son Kane. I got a little angle for you. I almost said the kitchen. It's not the kitchen at all. It's the garden, and it's a different time of day too. It's like 7:49 in p.m. and I think I sound like I have a little cold. I don't. I have a little bit of Asian salad stuck in my throat, so if I cough or something like that I mean later, um, it's because of that. I want to talk today about a couple things. One, the White Sox. They're doing very well now. They didn't win today, which I was kind of happy about actually, because they usually go into the All-Star break and they're just doing really well, and then they're like gotta wait a long time until they keep doing well. Now we can say that they're not doing well, even though they are. Euclid is awesome. It's so awesome to have him. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about that. I can't put the toothpick in my ear because my Blackwing 602, Palomino Blackwing 602, that's how big it is now, by the way. It's my second pencil that I'm working on. I'm about 50 pages deep into into my novel, which I'm not positive I'm going to call this, but so far the title of it is going to be the Taylor Street Sorrows. Long story, but I don't want to get into it right now. I do want to talk about craft a little bit. What I'm going to talk about today, and this is a term that I made up, maybe someone else made it up too, I don't care, because I came upon it independently, and that is the access intro. The access intro, and happens with all kinds of writing, poetry, literary nonfiction, fiction, short stories, novels. I think it happens with any kind of writing, even academic essays, analytical essays. What happens is you start writing something and you write the beginning of it in any way that you can to give you access to the story, right? So you just start writing, whatever helps you get into the story. Sometimes it's ridiculous, sometimes it's stupid, sometimes it just doesn't work, sometimes it's an awesome story or an awesome scene, and it helps you, it gives you access to the story. And what happens, and I'll just give you an example of this in an analytical essay. Kids sit down to write something, and they don't have to be kids, it could be older people too. They sit down and write something, and they just try to get the story going. They're dreading it or whatever, and so they just try to get the story going. Then they start making some the essay going, and they start making some discoveries as they go along, and by the time they get to the end, they sort of figure out where they're going with it, and then they sort of feel good about where they're going with it, and they think, well, I did it, I made these discoveries about this, Mark Twain or something like that, and they feel good about it, and they don't really go back to fix it, to make sure that, because the thing that they started to write about is not the thing that they ended up started writing about, because what happens in writing is what's supposed to happen is you make discoveries along the way, and you come to a place and you understand that this is the place you were meant to go to it. But the intro no longer works for it, right? Because you sat down, you weren't even sure what you were gonna get to. Well, it happens in poetry. It happens. I feel like I should have my shirt buttoned up a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm just like comfortable. I just put the shirt on. It's the first nice day in like 10 days. I'm coming to you from Chicago, and in Chicago, I mean, and it's been ridiculously hot for about 10 days or something like that. And today's the first day we haven't had to have air conditioning on, and it's finally nice outside. And I took a little nap on this this thing. I'll show it to you right there. See that white thing there? That's like a little thing. I took a little nap on it. It was so comfortable. And then I was almost like a little chilly or whatever, and I put a shirt on and I didn't have time to button up. I'm sorry about that. That's ridiculous. It's terrible. I put socks on too. At least I have a t-shirt on. That would be bad if I just like did one of these without having a shirt on. Anyway, that I'm bringing up the access intro because this happened in my story. You know, I think of something, and I think this is a perfect way to give me access to a story, to a new book or a novel or a short story or a poem or something like that. And the exact same thing happened. I had this idea of a guy who drops his phone. I did that before, by the way. This is my phone. People make fun of it. People were making fun of it the second I bought it. The second I bought it, people were like, when did you get that? I got it like 5 minutes ago. Anyway, I started the story. This guy drops his cell phone into a porta potty, and instead of going down to pick it up, he brings his son into the porta potty, and he turns him upside down. He holds him by his ankles, and he has him take it out of there. And he thinks it's funny, right? Well, it turns out that it's the kid's first memory. And the kid goes and gets it, and he's holding on to it. And the father, who's kind of a jerk or whatever, he brings him all the way. There's a family reunion going on at the forest preserve, and he brings him all the way over to tell everybody else in the family what he made his son do, because he thinks it's funny. The guy's a jerk, right? Anyway, the kid's older sister is there, and she, like, is mad at the father, and she takes the phone from the kid's hand. There's all kinds of human waste on it. It's terrible, right? The phone rings, and then she throws it to the father, and the phone ringing, so he picks it up. You know, he thinks it's important or whatever. He catches the phone, and he gets all that human waste or whatever on his hands and stuff like that. I think it's a great story, right? It creates this character. There's something on the screen. It creates a character, the narrator, who ends up being the kid. We got the sister, who's sort of protective of the kid. Got the father, who's a jerk, cares more about his phone than he does about his kid. He's into the sort of entertainment value of the kid picking up the phone and all that kind of stuff. He's going to entertain the rest of his family with this story. He ends up telling the story for like 40 years, in fact. And he keeps adding things to the porta potty. You know, there was his uncle's cigar was in there, and earrings. There's all the things the family has lost over the years. He ends up putting into this porta potty in his retellings of the story and all that stuff. So anyway, I think I got a great idea for a story, right? It's a good start to a story. I realize as I continue writing with my Blackwing 602, Palomino Blackwing 602, I realize after a while that I want the story to take place in the 70s. And as a result of that, I can't use the thing about the cell phone, right? There's no cell phone in the 70s. I didn't even see a cell phone until I was like 1995. So then I got like, well, do I want a story? Do I put something else in there? You know, maybe I could just have him drop something else that he likes. In any case, I have to go back. I have to return to that intro, all right, which was my access intro, and I have to at least fiddle with it, at least to make sense, right? Maybe it turns out that the story doesn't even work for me at all. It almost doesn't matter, because what the story did was it gave me access. That scene, I mean, what that scene did was it gave me access to a larger story. It helped me get this larger book, which may be a novel, I don't know, off the ground a little bit. It happens in every kind of writing, I think, where you write this intro that becomes a vehicle for you to tell the story, and it ends up to not be not be the right thing for it. Sometimes you have to lose it completely. Sometimes you have to fiddle with it. But it's so hard to do it. Number one, if you're not into revising, if you don't understand the value of revising yet, first of all, that's what you have to get over. And second, another reason is that you're sort of you get attached to it because it allowed you access to the story, and you sort of feel connected to it, and you want to keep it. Excuse me. In any case, that's my little tidbit. It's really the first thing about craft that I've talked about yet. But I hope to do a little more of that as the time goes by. I don't want to talk about the time goes by. If you look at earlier things, in there's Sunny. I wonder if you could see Sunny. It's probably hard to. It's probably hard to see him. I'm gonna show you. Do you see him? Hey, Sonny. Hey. Say hi to everybody. He smashed up against the window. He just wants to be by me. Like, no matter where I am, Sonny wants to be by me. Anyway, that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about. This would be like, I think this is like, this is episode 4 of Billy the Season. So, and it's taken a while to get to it because the magazine, Polyphony HS, is the magazine, not Polyphony HS. And it's not a high school either, it's a magazine. If you have an HS that people are like, oh my god, is that a high school? I didn't know that was a high school. Oh. It's not a high school, it's a magazine. Anyway, it's going to be awesome. And you should check it out at www.polyphonyhs.com. And the next issue is probably going to be out like in a month or so. I got all the files to our layout person, and it'll be coming out soon. So, well, I'll check in with you later.